Hello, welcome to the G.I. Joe New News Classified Reviews. My name is David T. Allen, or if you would like, Super Dave 817. If you would like to see more of this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button for future videos. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Classified Review. I am David Allen, or if you like, Super Dave. We are here to talk about the vintage package eels, the 14th vintage package figure in the line thus far. And so I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Clement. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. And so we're going to get right into this. This is going to be a fairly quick video because I don't have a lot of time today. So we're going to go very fast with this. So the eel was a release in vintage package because the first eel, that was the Amazon eel, was very sought after, and it was Amazon exclusive. So this eel came out very quickly and sold very quickly. People bought like 40 or whatever of the eels. So Hasbro had no choice but to make another eel in the vintage package. And this is a very similar deco, almost identical deco. There's a slight colorizations on certain parts of it, but not that much. So we're going to get really into this very quickly. But I want to read his file card. So there you go. And the cross cell on the back there. And it has the eel, beachhead, and the snow serpent. So you know the next vintage package is going to be the snow serpent. So it says Cobra Eel Combat Role Combat Diver, primary specialty underwater demolitions, secondary specialty marine engineering. It says eels are the underwater demolition specialists of the Cobra Legions. They staff and operate the Cobra Marine outpost disguised as offshore drilling rigs and augment the crews of larger Cobra naval vessels. Uh, Eels are very popular with the fan base for some reason. They weren't one of my favorites growing up, but I understand if you like the Eels, it's nothing wrong with that. But it wasn't one of my favorites. So let's get this guy open real quick, and we'll see what he looks like, and we'll compare him to the vintage one. Let's see. So I don't want to drop his little stand. These tend to drop the stands whenever I open them up. But this time I got the stand. So there you go. There's a little bitty extra package there. Yeah. And there's his package. And he's got that really cool Hector Garrido artwork, that homage to the vintage Hector Garrido artwork. And the vintage one had a much larger backpack. So they did change this package slightly because it wasn't as prominent on there. But I think it looks pretty good. It still looks nice. So we're going to stick that over here. And we'll start pulling him out of here. Let's see. All right, so let's get a close-up look at this version compared to this version. So based just on the eyes, it's pretty negligible. It looks almost identical, the eel does. I wouldn't even say the reds are any different. Everything's almost 100% identical. Yeah, it looks very similar. It has all the same articulation points on this. Mine up here doesn't want the this holster on his leg thigh there, or a calf, doesn't want to stay up. So I'll fix that later. So it's pretty much spot on identical to this one. I don't see any negligible difference between these two. I almost didn't even need to open it because it's identical to that one. But you can see those really cool eyes in there. I like the eye, the printing, the digital printing on the eyes and the face printing that they're doing recently with Classified. They're doing a really good job with that face printing. I guess they got a lot of flack from that Falcon, so they had to really step up their game for the face printing and the faces. He's got that little computer over there again, the same as the other one. But everything looks the same to me. He's got all the same articulation points, the butterfly shoulders, the double pinned elbows, double pinned knees, the foot rocker, the extra foot ankle articulation, the wrist articulation. He's got the calf and the thigh articulation. He's got the same crotch articulation. He's got a little bit of a secondary on the waist, over the waist crotch part there for the legs, and he's got that ab crunch. So all the same articulation points that we've seen on the previous one. So we got this little secondary package. We're going to put his fins on here real quick. Get that out of the way so we can stand him up. That's weird. There. And these fins are the same as they were in the first version of him. From what I can tell, they don't look any different. There. So now we got that. And then his backpack and headpiece looks pretty similar as well. On the backpack, on the headpiece, the helmet, he's got... Good morning, Michael Gene Fleming. Thanks for joining the chat today. Doing the Cobra Eel vintage package. He's got that little bitty gold chevron thing there. He's got the rebreather, the see-through glass there, the same as the vintage one. So I'm going to put that over his head like we have on the vintage, the first version, the first release. Let's see if we can get that in there really good. There. Got that on there. So then we're going to take his backpack and connect that all up. So the backpack has the red and black with on there with the Cobra logo. So this one, it doesn't have that. It has a eel-like symbol on it. So that is different because this is a black Cobra symbol with the red. So there's a difference. One difference so far that I found on this. Not that many, but there's one right there. There you go. So then you put the little tubes from his rebreather into the backpack there. There. So there you go. You have the rebreather and the backpack on him connected. So they look pretty good. And then he's got his gun, his torpedo type gun. Has the little gold arrow, the same as the other one. This one's slightly different because it has a blue handle, a blue like strap that stays on him when he's floating away. So I'm going to put that in a different hand so I can have a little differentiation with this. Putting it in his right hand, whereas on the first release, I put it in the left hand. So let's get that on there first. And then we'll get this out. Came out of his hand. Again, I wanted to make sure you guys understand this is the first time we're opening all these figures up. So we're playing around with them as we go and trying to get them to hold all their accessories and stuff like that. But yeah, these are the first time we're opening all these figures up. We've done 14 vintage package figures, and now we're up to 105 classified figures. And then he has this little red black knife with a little bit of a red hilt on it. And he had one of those on his right leg. It looks like it's the exact same thing, or his left leg. I'm going to put it in that holster on his left ankle, like it was on the original release. And when I did that, it came off just like the other one. So I'm going to have to like try to get that to go snug up there on the other version. Good morning, Brandon R. Thanks for joining us. Diving knife essential. Yep. But I've got to get the holster to stay. It doesn't want to stay. I'll say that the holster on this one with the handle is a lot darker. The red on that one's brighter, and the red on this is a little bit darker. If you look at them together, all the reds are a little brighter. I don't know if that's just my eel, my first eel to my second eel. You can kind of see the red is a little brighter on all the red. So there's a couple of differences there. And then that is it for the eel. I have everything else on this. So there's very few slight differences on the two different eels. That's the original eel, and this is the vintage packaged eel. So there are a couple of differences. There's not a lot, but there are a couple. So you could do the regular one as like the leader of the eels, and then you could have a couple extra eels in the background if you're doing photography, figure photography, or dioramas or something like that. Overall, it was always a good figure. The previous one was really good. There's a lot of detail and a lot of color breaks with it, with the reds and the blacks and the grays and stuff like that. And the backpack looks much better than the vintage backpack, I will say that much. But I like it. I think the eel is a nice figure. It's a lot thinner than the vintage version. If you got the vintage version, it was much chunkier. They were in that 85 year where they were doing chunkier figures, and the eels was one of those chunkier figures. So then I wanted to go over a couple of new items that has come in that I got. I thought you guys might like to see, and that is I got my vintage green shirt. My vintage green shirt came in, and I like the fact that they've given them two different heads, but it's weird. They gave him this weird neck joint attached to the head, which I don't understand why they did that. Can you see that neck joint attached to the head? They've never done that with heads before, so I was a little surprised. He's got a lot of gear, a bunch of different guns and knives and pistols and a helmet and a whole bunch of different sets of hands. 3 extra additional sets of hands. He's going to really fit in with our green shirt OG13 group of figures really nicely. So if you got a bunch of these, it's going to be really good. I ended up with 3 of them because I wanted to have a good assortment of OG13 characters. And then he's got his big file card, and you can see there's a bat on the back because the bat was also released the vintage bat. And I must say, this vintage bat is actually pretty good. There's a lot of interesting new things about this, whereas the chest part is see through, so you can finally see all that technology in the chest there. So they have over a cover that's see through and it's kind of damaged. And there's a bit of a wash on the metal parts of the bat that I really, really like, and makes it look kind of like the Terminator, where it's much more realistic and it looks like it could actually be real. So I really like that. I like the new detail on the vintage helmet where there's like electrical stuff on it and there's damage to the eye. They gave it some blast effects, which I don't believe any of the bats previously had blast effects. Um, but the backpack and the accessories are about the same. I like the fact that they added a little deco to this flamethrower to make it red hot, so it's got a little blue and red on the end of it. That's new, that was not on there. And then this flamethrower has a little black deco on it to give it more realistic flamethrower effect as well. So I like the fact that they're giving it much more realistic effects. The yellow is a lot more poppy yellow, and it stands out. The artwork really looks good, I must say. That's one of the things I noticed on this one. The vintage artwork on this card looks really good, and the artwork on this one does too. Both of them look really good vintage artwork. So those are the two vintage packages that I got. And then another one, while we're talking about OG 13s, I got my Target exclusive Steeler and Short Fuse 2-pack from Target exclusive. And this looks really good too. They have tons of gear, tons of accessories, and tons of blast effects that come with them. They look really nice. This is going to be a nice addition to my OG 13 as well. You can see that OG 13 style artwork on there with them doing their thing. And then on the back, you can see them out in the field defending the bivouac, which is very interesting that the bivouac in the back is not the Arctic bivouac. It's a green bivouac. So that means we'll probably be getting a green bivouac at some point down the road. So there's a lot of interesting new stuff. I like those face prints on those two there. They look really good. This is 181. Wow, we are really moving along. They both have some really cool helmets in there, and there's a lot of really fun gear. So I hope this is going to be a good one when we get to it. Then there's another couple of little things that I got at the Dollar General. These were advertised a while ago by another channel, and I never got them, but I finally found GI Joe figurines that I found at Dollar General. Snake Eyes, Duke, and Cobra Commander. They're kind of like, I guess, role-playing game little tokens or figurines. I think they're pretty interesting. So if you like gaming and you want to have some characters to play with, these would be really cheap and very easy to get at Dollar General. So I got that as well, and I wanted to showcase all that to you guys before I ended this video. Is there any questions that you guys have, or anything you're interested in? Nice. This was going to be a short video because the eels, we've done it before and there was not much to talk about with the eels. But I guess they were in the Sunbow series. I'm going to say the Weather Dominator, not the Mass Device, the Weather Dominator. And then he was in, they were in the comics as well. Michael Gene Fleming. If those are the ones I'm thinking of, they also fit in pretty well with the 2.5 Sigma 6 figures. Oh, okay. That's really cool. I've been getting those Sigma 6 figures. there's a friend of mine that offered me that big helicopter with some figurines, and I have a couple other miniature figures as well with Sigma 6. So that's cool. I'm glad that they fit with that. They're using a lot of that um, Operation Blackout type deco on them. Uh, so it's that really futuristic Duke and that regal Cobra Commander and stuff like that. So they're using that um, advertisement type thing when they do that all the time when they have a new era and they have a certain um, character sheets and art sheets and stuff like that. They send it to all the advertisers and all the people that do merchandising and things like that. So that's what they kind of look like, those original figures from the beginning of the classified line. Um, so I think, unless you guys have any questions or comments or anything else, um, I'm going to be doing that that comparison contrast episode with the classified vehicles and vintage vehicles coming up very shortly. And if you have an opportunity to attend Assembly Required in Des Moines, Iowa, that starts today. The dinner and the early bird dealers room is today, and there's a whole bunch of fun stuff going on. There was an announcement that Larry Hama canceled due to unforeseen circumstances, and I think one of the vendors also canceled. So there was a couple cancellations there. So if you're going for Larry Hama, he is not going to be there this year. But they still have a bunch of other good guests: Ron Wagner and Ron Rudat, and one of the writers of one of the Silent Missions month. Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but another artist writer is going to be there. Oh, Phil Hester. Phil Hester is going to be there. So there are going to be some cool people that'll be there, and a lot of cool GI Joe toys and lots of cool merchandise and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff in the Des Moines area. If you're in that area, there's a lot of cool stuff to do. Whenever I go on like a Thursday, so I can try to do all the cool stuff that is in the Des Moines area. They have really good restaurants, really fun things to do. There's a video game bar. It's called Up Down, and it's got all your vintage video games and console games and everything. It is really cool. It's like 2 floors of all kinds of fun. You can hang out with your Joe Bros and play games and do stuff. They even have the GI Joe console game from the 90s. Michael Gene Fleming, your era of GI Joe video games. They have that there. And then it's fun to compete with other Joe Bros there. They also have some really good restaurants. They have Zombie Burger, which is a kind of a Walking Dead type restaurant, and there's all kinds of really good food. I eat there almost every year when I was there. And then they have Monster Pizza, which is a monster themed pizza restaurant. And there's a lot of other fun things that they do, activities afterwards, and gaming during the convention. Renegade Game Studios, there's a whole section of the convention where you can play all the different Renegade games. There's also a customs class where you can make figures, and I've talked about my Rowdy Piper and different other customs that I've made there. And so that's going on probably right now as we talk about this. Then there's raffles and all kinds of other stuff. It's a really, really fun show, and you get to hang out with pretty much all your favorite people. All the brothers and sisters of the GI Joe community are there, and so I highly recommend it if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, that you head over there. Saturdays is free for admission for all patrons. The sales of the dinner, the sales of merchandising, the raffle tickets, all the stuff that you spend money on at the show for the show helps to pay for Saturday being free for all families, children, and patrons. So that's phenomenal. I think Skeletron's going to be there too, so you can get to see a lot of cool new Skeletron stuff. Um, So I hope you guys can go to that. And I thank you all for joining me in the chat. Today was going to be a quickie because I got something I got to go do. And so I want to thank you guys again, as always. Thank you, everybody in the replay crew, for watching and checking this out. I hope to see you guys again soon. And this is a Cobra one. So, hail Cobra! Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.